Hello and welcome to CS264, Software Design. This is Lecture 4 and this is Lesson 3. In this short lesson I'm going to be telling you about how to use NuGET, a package manager for .NET, and for our purposes, a package manager for C#. NuGET is the official Microsoft supported mechanism for sharing code for use with .NET. And NuGET defines how packages for .NET are created, hosted, and consumed, and provides a whole suite of tools for each of those roles. You can have a look at what NuGET is at the Microsoft Docs site, and the link is here. You can click through from this document. It provides a brilliant overview of NuGET. It shows what it is, how it works, lists all the tools provided. It's quite comprehensive, and it's a great starting point. We're going to see how to use it specifically with VS Code, how we will install a package within VS Code environment, and then how to use that package within our C# application. I'm going to be installing the HTML Agility package and use that to parse HTML tables using a C# application. You can find that package details at htmlagilitypack.net. Okay, so to get started with NuGET then, as I said already, it's a package manager for C#. Remember, you used NPM, the Node Package Manager, when you were developing Node.js applications for CS230. It's very similar. In this case here again, you create a project associated with your C# application, and then you add the required packages to the project. And you know, you've seen these before with JSON files. The packages are specified by a .cs project in your file application directory, and it's XML. Let's have a quick look at how Atom worked. Sorry, how it works. So here's a sample one from my sample program. It's called program.cs project, and you can see that it includes and tells us about the SDK that we're using here. It's also telling us here that we're including a reference to the HTML Agility pack, and it's version 1.11.24. So how did I get in there? So we're interested in doing this. What it does though is it tells the compiler to include this when you're compiling the code executable. So how are all the package assets, the DLL files, that's the compiled code, how do they get into my directory? And you can let's have a quick look here and see. So I have some VS, here's my program.cs project, and you can see I've already got the agility pack in here. If I look at the binary code, you can see that it includes this DLL. So that's the executable code that we will use. And you'll see program.cs proj is here as well. So I'm going to use all this stuff. So let's see how it works. And the program I'm going to use is here, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. But let's get back to NuGET for a moment. So what's going on here is that, you know, creators create the project with their source code, and they build and they package it using NuGET and publish it to nuget.org, and then or they can send it to a private host, and then, you know, the consumer, us, you know, our VS Code, will be able to browse and then install the project packages. Very straightforward. This is from the Microsoft document. It's very useful. So in order to get started, you know, you have to install the NuGET CLI tools. So that's the command line interface. So which ones you install depends on your operating system and your preferred development environment. So you could be looking at VS Code for Linux, Visual Studio for Windows, Visual Studios for macOS, but I'm interested in VS Code for macOS. And Microsoft have a great article for doing this for all the various options. It outlines the capabilities of the different tools, how to install them, their comparative feature availability, and that article is here. Okay, so click through and you'll find that. For now, you really just need NuGET.exe if you're using Windows, or NuGET for macOS and Linux. And as I said, I use macOS and VS Code, and the reference here tells me how to do it for macOS, but I'm a homebrew user. That's brew.sh. And so I just installed NuGET using brew install NuGET, and that was it. I didn't follow the instructions which told me about installing Mono and all that, but brew installed Mono and a few of the other dependencies, set up the path, all that kind of stuff for me with a single command. So I'm a little bit lazy, and it worked just fine. With Windows, actually, your SDK installation should have included NuGET.exe by default. So if you can run .NET, you should be able to run NuGET as well. Linux users, of course, need to install Mono, and I'm sure you'd have done that already if you've got this far in the module. That's the C# compiler for Linux, and then follow the instructions above in this document to tell you how to get going with NuGET. So in order to set it up with VS Code, you need to install the NuGET Package Manager add-on. Okay, so it's called VS Code NuGET Package Manager. Okay, and you can search for that in your within VS Code, and work from there. So I have a little diagram about how you find it here. So you can just open the extensions marketplace, click and select this here, and then so you click here for packages, so right here, and you get the package manager, and you click install. Now you'll see I have it already done, so I'd have to uninstall. Okay, but once you have the package in VS Code, it's fairly straightforward to add and remove packages. So what you would do is you would open your VS Code's command palettes, Shift Command P for macOS, and that's under the View menu, enter NuGET, and you should see the two options to add a package and remove a package. And so choosing add a package, then that allows you to choose the package and the version. And if you want to work with HTML ability package, just type that in and you can remove it or add it if you wish. So if you want to click remove, then it will just give you a list of the packages that you've already installed and then remove. So for example, I could go to my command packet and look, I can have NuGET. I can type in NuGET. You'll see I have the package manager for add a package and remove a package. Okay, so for example, if I wanted to add a JSON one, I could just go add JSON, add a package, and I could go JSON. It'll give me a whole list of packages that are available for processing JSON, and then I could click this one here, and it would give me the version and so forth. But I'm not going to do it just now. And then if I did, it would add it and update it and add it into my program.cs project file. If I wanted to remove, I can go to the palette again, and I can say remove the package, and it'll just give me the list. I've already installed HTML Agility Pack. So it's very straightforward to do all this within your program. So I will run the program and have access to all of the functionality provided by that namespace or that package. So, and then I'm using it, I just go using HTML Agility Pack. So it works out really nicely for me, okay, for everybody as well. So now I've talked about HTML Agility Pack already. So using this with C# then, so we're ready to start using it now. We've installed it. And the sample program that I have below in this demo demonstrates two ways to work with the package. One which you can use keywords like for each that we're already familiar with to process data structures. And then a second approach using C#'s language integrated query or link functionality. We're going to look at link in later lectures, but I've got it here for reference anyway. And so from the GitHub documentation, HTML Agility Pack is a HTML parser, builds a real-time DOM, supports plain XPath or XSLT in order to locate and navigate through the DOM. Okay, you don't have to understand XPath or XSLT. It's a way of querying or selecting items in an XML document, and HTML is like XML. So, but it's a .NET Core library, allows you to parse out of the web HTML files. The parser is very tolerant with real-world malformed HTML. So, for my example, I'm just interested in a very simple table. So here's a simple table has header, and two records for month and savings, and it's a nice, well-formed, and a sum, of course. So it's a nice formed table command. I'm using a verbatim string to create it, so I don't have to worry about backslashing. But I'm creating, I've included up here HTML Agility Pack, and I'm creating a HTML document, which is a new HTML document, and I'm adding this document into my HTML, the string into my document. So, and I could read that from a file if I wanted as well. That wouldn't be a problem at all. So then I'm iterating, I'm creating HTML nodes. So I'm iterating over the table nodes in the document, selecting the table elements. This is a query on the HTML document. And then I'm just writing out the information that I want to do. I'm iterating over it and finding the rows, I'm finding the headers or the cells, and I'm just writing the inner text, the detail that's in there. And if there's a table ID, then I'd be able to print out that table ID. And does it have an ID? Yep, it has an ID called test table. I'll be able to see this. So that's a standard kind of processing. I could also use link and to parse the table, and that just selects all the cell contents. That's a very standard example. And this is a link query where I'm querying using the document to select all cell nodes. And we see a little bit about how that works much later, maybe 2 or 3 lectures time. And again, I'm writing the information to the command line. So let's have it run. So it's a nice way to process table elements. In fact, it'll process any HTML element, but that's fine. So I've copied, I've got the program in here. I'm going to run this. And we can see the table has been output. Okay, here we can see the table. That's the row and cells from the test table using the first method. And again, I'm just extracting, again, all of the cell information from the second method using link. So it works very nicely. It may be of interest to you if you're working on assignments related to table processing. But it's nice, and the main point, of course, is that we use NuGET to install the HTML Agility Pack. We can install any package we like to work with our C# applications. So working online, I recommended that you could use REPL.IT for online working. You can also use .fiddle.net. Sorry, .NET, fiddle.net, and that will work fine for you as well if you wanted to test. So you could, let's go there. Okay, and you can see one that would have been created by me earlier. I was playing with examples earlier, so let's just select all here. And you can pop it in here, and we might get some errors, but you can put it in here and run the project as well. Okay, so it's fine. Another little tip, the knowledge base is really useful because it tells you about all the kinds of things that you can do with HTML Agility Pack. So go to the knowledge base. This one, for example, tells you about link and HTML, filling parsed HTML data into a database or a data table. So that's useful to have as well. So yeah, click through on these links and you can discover a little bit more. Okay, so we learned about NuGET in this particular one. It's package manager for .NET and C#. We looked at and saw how to get it working with VS Code in our applications, and we saw how to use the HTML Agility Pack to process HTML table elements. And we leave it there then. Thank you for watching.